As we age, especially after 65, life shifts from focusing on our age to valuing peace and independence. It becomes clear that not everything needs to be shared with family. In fact, oversharing can sometimes complicate relationships instead of bringing people closer. Silence, in this stage of life, is often a sign of wisdom, not secrecy. While complete honesty is often seen as essential for strong relationships, holding back certain details can reduce unnecessary stress and pressure. Life after 65 is about conserving energy, protecting privacy, and enjoying peaceful living. A key realization is that family members may not always know what's best for us. They might have their own ideas about how we should live, manage our health, or handle finances. Setting clear boundaries about what we share helps preserve respect and independence. Peace in old age isn't about trying to please everyone or revealing every detail. It's about knowing what truly matters to us and taking steps to protect it. At 78 years old, Amanda had spent most of her life caring for others, but now, in her later years, she had decided it was time to live more on her own terms. She had carefully planned her finances, ensuring that she would be able to maintain her independence as she grew older. One day, she decided to share her plans with her 3 children, believing that openness and honesty would help them understand her decisions. However, what she didn't expect was the overwhelming flood of suggestions, advice, and even interventions from her children. They immediately began telling her where she should live, how she should invest her money, and even arranged for a financial advisor to meet with her without asking for her opinion first. What Amanda had intended as a simple conversation quickly turned into a feeling of being monitored, as if her decisions were no longer her own. The more she tried to explain, the more they pushed for changes, making her feel like she had lost control over her own life. She had learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes, sharing too much can do more harm than good. From that point forward, Amanda decided to be more selective in what she disclosed, understanding that maintaining her independence was more important than satisfying everyone else's opinions. Around the same time, Kyle, a 74-year-old man, was dealing with a similar situation. He had been feeling some discomfort in his shoulder after gardening, a minor issue that didn't seem significant at first. However, when he casually mentioned it to his daughter, she immediately sprang into action, scheduling a doctor's appointment and calling him constantly to check on his condition. She even suggested that he hire a caregiver. Although Kyle appreciated her concern, he began to feel as if he were being treated like a fragile, elderly person, and he didn't like it. He realized that by sharing every little health complaint, he was unintentionally creating anxiety for his family, who began to see him as someone in constant need of help, even though he was still quite capable. This experience taught Kyle an important lesson about the balance between sharing and maintaining autonomy. He recognized that there were times when it was better to keep certain details to himself in order to preserve his peace and avoid unnecessary worry. Not every ache and pain needed to be voiced, and it was okay to handle minor issues on his own without burdening his children with every little thing. Meanwhile, Emma, a grandmother in her early 70s, had learned another important lesson: the power of silence in maintaining family harmony. One day, she gently suggested to her daughter that her grandson should clean up his toys after playing. What she thought would be a harmless comment turned into a misunderstanding. Her daughter felt criticized and began to withdraw, making Emma feel like an outsider in her own family. Over time, their conversations became less frequent, and Emma found herself no longer invited to visit as often. Emma realized that, sometimes, saying less was the best way to avoid conflict. She understood that even well-intentioned advice could be misinterpreted, and that stepping back from family disputes, rather than inserting herself into them, was the wisest choice. She chose to focus on enjoying her later years without unnecessary tension. Her silence wasn't indifference, it was a choice to preserve peace, not only within herself but within her family. Linda, a mother who had spent much of her life raising her children and putting her career on hold, was also grappling with her past. She had sacrificed so much for her family, but as she looked back, she couldn't help but wonder what might have been if she had pursued her own dreams. One day, she confided in her daughter, telling her that she regretted giving up her career. However, this confession didn't land the way she had hoped. Her daughter, although she didn't say anything at the time, later began to feel as though her mother was implying that her sacrifices weren't valued, which created an emotional distance between them. Linda learned that not all regrets need to be voiced. Expressing them could unintentionally hurt those we love. She decided to reframe her thoughts on the past, focusing on the lessons learned rather than the opportunities missed. By doing so, she preserved her relationship with her daughter and found peace in the present. Through these experiences, each person came to understand a fundamental truth: peace in old age doesn't come from constant transparency or trying to please everyone. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to share and when to keep things to yourself. Whether it's about finances, health, or family dynamics, maintaining boundaries and protecting your autonomy becomes increasingly important as we grow older. For Amanda, Kyle, Emma, and Linda, the journey of growing older was not about clinging to the past or oversharing every detail of their lives. Instead, it was about finding peace by embracing their independence and making choices that allowed them to live with dignity and serenity. They realized that, in the end, it was not about what others knew about them, but about how they felt in their own hearts, free, content, and in control of their own lives.